Hey guys, so today should be Wednesday. As some of you might know, I always shoot these like the night before and I post it the night before. Right now it is Tuesday at 10:43 at night. Yesterday, if you did not, because I'm still waiting on some people to turn this in, take your political survey, go see what it says about you, what your own beliefs are, what the candidates' beliefs are, and who you most align with. After that, go ahead, get on and vote. I'm very curious to see the final results. The results right now look awesome. They're a little bit funny, a little concerning in some ways, but I want to do a video just showing you guys the results of what you put. So it's super cool, super interesting. I think you're going to like it. But anyway, I'm making this video part one of struggles between the empires. So this basically has to do with, fast forward a little bit. William Penn's sons take over. Penn dies. We just talked about Pennsylvania being a religious haven and a good place for everybody to come to, but now things start to go sour. Population's coming in, it's getting bigger and bigger. We're expanding, we need more land. So that means, conflict's inevitable. So before we get into anything too crazy, let's look at the bell ringer. First, answering comments, of course. Explain what you know about the French and Indian War and what you know about the 7 Years' War. These are the same names for the same event, pretty much, just as a heads up. Because this happens, and then, just over a decade later, you get the Revolutionary War. But just to give you some context. So tell me what you know about it. Second question, give me some examples of wars causes in general. So I believe this is the first war we're talking about in class. I remember our survey that we start the year with all you guys. Pretty much, war's one of the things that you're, I guess, most drawn to, or you think is most interesting, or you're most excited to learn about. Pretty much when I do the start of the year survey, what's your favorite part of history? Almost inevitably, it's like war, 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 and I'm like, you guys are weird. Um, you have to go see Mr. Weller, but that's kind of what your answers are. So I think this is the first one. This is why I start with this question. Like, why do we go to war? Remember, with whatever we talk about, we want to analyze it. We want to break it down into chunks, and we want to start at the root of the things, at the origin of it. Like, how did this happen? And hopefully that's important for us to just predict these patterns and see that so it can better inform us in the future and the present, like when we start to see things going wrong. Let's say like the attack on General Soleimani with Trump. You can say, is this one of the causes? Is this leading to war? Will they retaliate? Is it a war crime? Should we have bombed them? Should we not have? What are the impacts of this, and what is our history and context of the whole Iran tensions in general? But once again, we always want to dive in history, come back out, and one way we can do that is to look at patterns then and say, why have we gone to war historically? Why do we go to war? So think about it, give me some quality answers. Other than that, let's get into it. Our objectives for today is to just look at some important events that have happened in Pennsylvania from, the time right after William Penn, before the founding of our nation. So we're going to do that today. More so, tomorrow we'll look at the events such as the French and Indian War or the 7 Years' War. But for the next 2 days, we're going to look at settlers pushing west, of course. This is the whole story of manifest destiny. God picked our people. We'll go out west. We'll keep taking more land. It's for us because God said so. And those people there, natives, if they're Dutch, if they're French, if they're Spanish or Mexicans, too bad because God picked us. That's a whole manifest destiny story. That's a whole expansion story. Some people are winners, some people are losers, and it's up to you to determine what that all means. Other than that, we're going to look at the impacts of that. So that's exactly what I was just saying. Here are your key terms that you should know, if not through the reading, through the video, or through my PowerPoint slide here, or through something that I say. So let's get started. So more and more we're getting a huge population in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania in general. People are coming in droves, remember, for many different reasons. Maybe it's glory, maybe you want to start a business, maybe you want to practice your religion safely, right? There's more than one thing. There might be like 17 different factors. Some of the biggest one being religious tolerance, but there's multiple ones. Anyway, because they're getting there, well, settlers keep expanding. That's kind of the whole story of, almost like any country or culture. So, maybe you arrive in Philadelphia's port. You get off, you go on the outskirts, and then you keep moving. This is what happens. So sometimes they are moving, sometimes there's natives, sometimes they take their land, sometimes they buy it. But at the same time, as all this is going on, we have to keep in mind that the great dying, quote unquote, the great dying is still occurring, and you still have these natives, historically, when we look at the big picture, 90 million, maybe 60 million, rough estimates, 90% of these natives are wiped out from disease, one of the biggest killers being smallpox. So this is huge. Their people are weakening, our people are getting stronger and more in numbers. Native relations, depending on the tribe, some are good, some are bad. Like I said, some land's bought, but we have to just keep this in mind that they're dwindling and our numbers are growing quick and we're expanding further and further west. So again, conflict inevitable. Is it the French? Is it going to be some of the natives there? Will we run into other European groups? Well, you already know. Yeah, we will. Alrighty. So when this is happening and you get the droves of people in Pennsylvania down here, let me go back quick. We get one of the most infamous land grabs in PA's history and U.S. history. You get the walking purchase. So remember, Penn dies. His wife takes over for a bit, and then later his sons take over. This is when things go bad. So Thomas and Richard Penn, his sons, they wanted to expand Pennsylvania. They wanted the land along the Delaware, as you saw in this image. I'll show it to you again, right there. And they made an agreement with the Delaware natives, the Lenape, saying, you agreed with our father to sell us this land, the land that we could cover, as much as a man could walk in a day and a half. And they're like, okay, we'll honor it. So what the brothers did, if you look down here, what they did, or up there, there's an illustration. They basically paid 3 trained runners to cover the route. And not just that, but they had the land cleared, they had paths, they knew the route. They're basically trained for this. So the natives figured that out, that this was supposed to be, peaceful. It was something they negotiated as good faith actors. And then they took much more land than anticipated. And, it wasn't a walk, it wasn't anything like that. You get these athletes, sprinting through, and something that was very, very, very disingenuous by the brothers. So it really upset the Lenape, ruined their relationships pretty much. And one of the natives that actually helped uphold this was actually Chief Shikellamy. He said that was fair and that's what was owed. So now you get these natives, they're pushed out west, the area of Shamokin, as in like Shamokin Dam, Sunbury, close to where we are at Shamokin. And, there you go. Relations are deteriorated. It's not good for necessarily the Penn family anymore. Once again, here's another illustration. This would be the land that they get. Okay. And then these Lenape, they're kicked out over this way. Pretty much after this, the natives were angry. Battles happened. They occurred all over. The battles between the natives and the settlers went on for years. And if this is going on in like 1737, we fight the French in the Indian War with, less than 2 decades after that. So not even like 20 years, we're already fighting for the land over here, like the Ohio Basin, the Pittsburgh area. These colonists keep pushing further and further. Sometimes their government supports it, sometimes they don't, and they just go off on their own, discover land, like here's this land, so I'm gonna, make it better, I'm gonna build a house, whatever. They just keep going on their own. So eventually, again, it is the story of manifest destiny. God chose us, and we're just gonna keep going and going and going and going and going. So leads to conflicts. So the colony is developing. It's developing very fast. This is something I've been parroting the entire video. Settlers move further west. They come closer to the French and native settlements. Again, something I just said multiple times. Conflicts inevitable. Um, so, like I said one more time, within 20 years you get into a war with the French, the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, over this land. Closer to Lake Pittsburgh. A little past the Shamokin Dam area. So they're fighting over this land, and it's primarily economically driven. It's not just like settlers or, a war about religion or anything. It's pretty much about the fur trade. Without a doubt, all throughout Europe, furs were in demand. Natives were skilled at trapping beaver, fox, rabbit. In the wilderness, there were paths and trails and roads that they used. The traders typically rode horses, and they led pack horse trains. So this was like an elaborate way that they could trade these goods. They'd set up these trading posts, whether it was with the English or with the French, and they would trade things: hatchets, knives, speeds, lace. We did bartering before, so some of your projects, you guys already know what we traded. Sometimes even like alcohol or weapons, but these are. This is a huge trade. The fur trade is all across Europe. Like, they're making so much money. I'm trying to think of something today that I can compare it to. But anyway, we're trying to fight over this land in Pennsylvania. This is like the French-owned territory, and they have maybe more incentive to like fight over this land because it is getting close to the Ohio, the Mississippi, and that's connecting. You get New Orleans and Canada, so this is pretty strategic for the French. And both the French and the English want to totally dominate the fur trade. Like, they don't want the other in the business because they can make millions, billions, whatever. And they want to get that essentially that contract with the natives. But anyway, I'm going to stop the video for there. It's just a quick introduction and kind of like a recap to just show Pennsylvania's growing. It's growing quick. We're getting land. Sometimes we're buying it. Sometimes we're stealing it or being misleading. Anyway, it leads us right into a conflict with French traders. Well, just France in general, but primarily over the fur trade. So when we come back tomorrow, we'll actually get into the war stuff. In comes the Ohio Company, and in comes Lieutenant George Washington. So more so tomorrow, we'll get into that, and we'll wrap up quickly. The French and Indian War, and Pennsylvania's role in it, and where it's done, and so on. So let me know if you have any questions. Remember to answer the bell ringer in comments. And other than that, make sure you vote. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Right now, it's at 11 o'clock. So I'm very curious to who won or how close it is, or are they going to count ballots for the next couple days or what? Super interesting stuff. It'll be an interesting one for history. All right, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.